Babylon is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils and of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of her wrath and her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Elohim has remembered her iniquities. This Bible passage is found in Revelation chapter 18, verses 1 through 5. And it is speaking of a specific system of domination in the world during these last days. Actually, Babylon is presented in Scripture in several manifestations. First, as a city in the plain of Shinar in Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. It is the place where the world, under Nimrod, acted in rebellion to the Most High, wanting to build a presence and a reputation that was represented by a tower that reached unto heaven. Secondly, Babylon is mentioned as a nation state, where Yahuwah used Babylon of the Chaldeans under the leadership of Nebuchadnezzar as a means of judging his rebellious southern kingdom of Judah. Thirdly, the daughter of Babylon is represented in Babylon under judgment for her oppressive reign over the world, and this was stated in Jeremiah chapter 51. Finally, the great harlot Babylon is mentioned as Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth in Revelation chapter 17, verse 5. So Babylon began as a city, then became a nation, then a nation in judgment, and finally a system or a principality as it exists today. The spirit of Babylon was and always will be the spirit of rebellion to the Most High. And in this last day, it's exemplified by the nation or nations which most closely fit the description in Revelation chapter 18, verses 9 through 19. But I'm going to read Revelation chapter 18, and we're just going to read verses starting at verse 16. So Revelation chapter 18, starting at verse 16, which says, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to nothing. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea, by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. So some of us in this day and time are living in Babylon. And so what should we be doing at this time? Because Babylon is under judgment. And as we said, the first Babylon was a city in Shinar. The second Babylon was a nation led by Nebuchadnezzar. The third Babylon is the daughter of Babylon. And then the fourth Babylon is Mystery Babylon, or a principality, if you will. So because we live in that last Babylon, this last Babylon is the great harlot that will be destroyed. So our job is to warn the people living in Babylon. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partaker of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Do you live in Babylon? Are you trying to integrate into a Babylonian system? Are you trying to save a Babylonian system? Well, as Peter said in Acts chapter 2, verse 40, save yourselves from this untoward generation. The Father bless you and keep you. The Father make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Father lift up his countenance upon you and give you his shalom.